And welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And welcome back to day, I think I'm going to keep these in order, 5 of Man plus Machine Week here on my channel, where I discuss 7 of my favorite Man plus Machine videos. Most of them are like cyborg implants. Transcendence was like AI, but it's just the 7 that I chose for this. I know there are subgenres, and these are 7 of my favorite to discuss this vein of film. And tonight we are going to move on with another of my favorites, and that is Elysium. So, Elysium. I absolutely love this movie, but then I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't, right? Elysium was released in 2013, made by Neill Blomkamp. He directed and wrote this, along with, I like a lot of his movies actually. District 9, Chappie. Um, Chappie would have been a good, no, it wouldn't. Chappie is a robot. No, that wouldn't have worked. But, yeah, I don't like him though. I mean, if I saw him face to face, I don't know. I guess I like him as a director, but if I saw him face to face, I would probably. I mean, I wouldn't go to jail for murder or anything like that, but I would at least slap him really, really hard across the face for not doing a sequel to District 9 yet. Yeah, dude. Don't ever let me see you somewhere because you will tell me why. No, don't even bother to tell me why. I don't care why. Do a sequel to District 9, or if I ever see you, I will slap you across the face. That's just it. I'm not even going to be starstruck. You're going to be starstruck. So, yes, but it was written and directed by Neill Blomkamp, and it stars Matt Damon, Jodie Foster, and Sharlto Copley. I hate him. I hate Kruger. Kruger. What a anyway. So, Elysium opens in the future, of course, and we see Max, who is Matt Damon's character. At first they give you a little up to date. They tell you how overpopulation, the class divide, all the kind of stuff that's going on right now. Climate change, the class divide, wealth inequality, human slavery, has destroyed the planet basically. And all the rich people have went up, which they would if they could. Oh, I started to say something political there. I won't. But I don't think they would call it Elysium. Let's put it that way. I'm sure it would have a different name. But all of the rich people would go up there, have went up there, and that is where they live, while the earth is mostly just slaves, pleasing them and working for them as they strip our resources for their habitat. And we get to see Matt as a little kid. He's in an orphanage. He meets a little girl also in the orphanage, and they're friends. And you can see Elysium in the sky a lot better than you can the space station, but then again, it's probably 500,000 times bigger, right? Sort of like a Dyson sphere, but not really, but that kind of thing. So we get to see him, dreaming of one day going to Elysium like all Earth people do, where they can be happy, and you get to see Elysium. It is a pristine, utopic environment. Everyone is happy and rich and has nice homes, and they even have a technology called medbay, which is like a couch that you can pop into every day if you want, and it will make sure you're fine and you just live in perpetuity. It will cure anything that you have. But of course, Earthlings, they are all diseased and dying, and just what you do to slaves, right? So we get to then see him grown up. He has grown up. He works in a factory. He's obviously had a troubled youth. He belonged to a criminal tech stealing thievery gang for a while, but he's not. He's out of jail. He's on probation. He has to go and report to his robotic probation officer. I think he sprained his wrist or something, and he ended up having to go to the hospital, where he runs into Frey, that little girl from the orphanage. He runs into her again, and he tries to get her to go out with him. She don't, but then she says she will, so he's all happy, and he goes off to work at his little factory where, the peons are used and abused. Now, he works on an assembly line for, well, basically Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, but they're called droids, I guess. They're the police force. They're everybody uses droids. So the military, the police, and everything like that. So he works on an assembly line where he creates those when the area in which he works, which irradiates the metal of, to sterilize it, it gets stuck, and his boss is like screaming at him that if he wants to keep his job, he'll step in there and get it unstuck. Of course, he's just a peon worker, So, Jeff Bezos is screaming at him. Oh, did I say that? This isn't Amazon. But, a Jeff Bezos type is screaming at him to go in there or lose his job, So he has to do this extremely dangerous thing to keep his job, or you're going to be poverty again, and he doesn't want to be in poverty again. He doesn't want to lose his job. He's trying to be a good guy, and he wants to, so he does it, and he steps in there. And as soon as he gets it unstuck, it closes on him. He screams for help. Nobody helps him. To be honest with you, nobody can help him because it happens so fast. He is irradiated like a week, like you have a week left to live. So it doesn't kill him, but they get him out. The main boss, the real Jeff Bezos, he comes down there and is like, "What happened? Oh well, whatever. Just get him out of here." So he's basically given some medication, these super potent anti-radiation pills that will keep him from knowing he's dying, keep him relatively stable for 7 days while he dies, while he rots. So of course, he's not happy. And he leaves and he goes back home where he's dealing with it. Now, he has a friend named Julio who I was very enamored with Julio. But his best friend Julio is disgusted by what has happened to him. He, of course, is, but it's to be expected in the way the world is. It would be expected today, to tell you the truth. So, he ends up going to Spider. Spider is the leader of the old gang that he used to work for as a thief. So he goes to him because he knows that he runs a black market tech ring that also gets people to Elysium. Now, you might get caught on Elysium, but see, the whole point, the whole market for black market trips to Elysium is to get your ass to that med bay. Because all you got to do is get into someone's house. If you can manage to land on Elysium, all you got to do is find the nearest house and jump in that bed, and it will heal you of all of your ills, provided you have a code on you. which of course Spider provides you. That's his racket. Theft, money, tech, and also black market trips to Elysium, where they burn a genetic code onto you that fools the computer in Elysium into believing that you are a citizen of Elysium, and will heal you in the med couch, the med bay. So he goes to him and is like, please, 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 I'll do anything. I'm dying. So the Spider's like, okay, well, tell you what. You go do this job for me because you were one of my best, and I know you can get this done. If you go do this job for me, I will do that for you. I will get you up there before you die. So he agrees, okay, we can do that. Now, just prior to all of this taking place, we get introduced to Delacourt. That is the security. She's not the president, but she is the defense minister. So she's like pretty much, she controls the military. And that's Jodie Foster in one of her rare roles as a villain. And I mean a villain. She is an absolute bitch. And you have this 3 shuttles coming to Elysium. They think they have all of their codes and everything right, but they screwed up. They don't. And she gets advised that these 3 rogue shuttles are coming full of children and sick people. So she contacts her agent behind the president's back. So she contacts her sleeper agent, which is Kruger, this guy named Kruger. He is an augmented, implanted human who lives on Earth with all of the benefits, that going back and forth. So he lives on Earth, but he's her secret agent. He's one of her secret agents. She contacts him because she can't shoot those shuttles down from Elysium because everybody would know, including the president. So she calls her sleeper agent on the ground and is like, take them out. So he manages to shoot off, missiles. 2 of them get destroyed, full of children. A third one manages to land. One woman manages to bust into a house and get her daughter into the med bay, but she gets stopped. They all get stopped, arrested, tased, and deported back to Earth. So that's sort of a little idea of what Delacourt is like as the defense minister. So this plan that Spider wants Max to be involved with, is to help kidnap Carlisle. Now, Carlisle was the main boss of that technology plant that Max worked at. And he is augmented as well. And he's got information in his head that Spider could really use. And they don't necessarily want to kill him or anything. They just need to get a hold of him long enough to download the info from his head. This would be to further his black market ring. It would be shuttle codes, security, security information, things like that would help him. So it's not that he was trying to assassinate him or anything like that. He just wanted to get information out of his head that would further his black market. That's what he deals in. Illegal tech, black market trips to Elysium, things like that. So the president, though, he goes in there and jumps her ass about what she did with the shuttles. Threatens her, I mean, that she will be removed. She throws back, a bunch of, you don't know how to take care of this place stuff. And so they have their little fight. And he makes her call down and fire Kruger. Her, we don't use sleeper agents anymore in my, what do I call it, administration. So as in his, he had told her before to cancel all the contracts with her little gangs that she had down on Earth. So she does do that, cancels his codes and all of that kind of stuff. So he's pissed. Now, Max knows that he must get to Elysium or die. So once they have come up with this plan, he agrees, basically. He agrees to help them do this heist of info, this data heist from Carlisle. So they arrange it all up to do that. Now, while they're arranging their plan of how they're going to kidnap Carlisle long enough to data heist him, Miss Delacourt, she gets that little ass chewing that she got from the president. That was the last one, in her opinion, that was ever going to take place. So she calls Carlisle, and when Carlisle makes his visit, they have a little secret meeting in which she promises a 200-year contract for his technology factory if he can create a rootkit virus that would shut down Elysium and reboot it with her as the new president. In other words, she wants a coup. She wants a coup on Elysium that will make her the president. She will provide him with a 200-year guarantee contract, and therefore the plan is underway. Now he goes back to Earth. Max and his team, Julio and these two other guys, they are going to, do this. There is a problem, however, and that is that Max is getting so sick so fast that he cannot physically do this. So Spider suggests that he allow them to augment him with a state-of-the-art exosuit and interbody implants, which, okay, he either gets up there or he's dead, so it don't really matter, yeah? So he agrees to allow them to do that. So they implant in his brain, spine, and his exoskeleton, and they basically turn him into a cyborg, So they finalize the kidnap plans after he recovers and gets used to this suit, and they begin the process. So Carlisle tries to leave. He's now got the program that Delacourt needs to reboot Elysium. And he's got it locked in his head, but it's got a kill code in it that only he knows the answer to. And if you do not do it correctly, then you can get the information, but whoever downloads the information, since it's cerebral downloads, will be killed instantly, unless you have the process to do it, to counteract that. So he takes off, they start the process, and the shuttle crashes, they get to him,
and Max downloads the information.
What they don't know is that Miss Delacourt, up there on Elysium,
She has been alerted that an Elysium citizen has been crashed, and they zoom in. She can actually see what's going on. And this, of course, scares the hell out of her, right? Because what if somebody finds out that she's in the middle of a fucking coup, right?
so her little ass could be on the line. So she calls Kruger, and she's like, "Help! You're reinstated. Get, get that dude. Rescue him." So he goes and tries, but he's unsuccessful. And Carlisle gets shot and dies. So the answer to the kill code died with him. Now Max has the program in his head, but we know, I don't think he's realized yet, but we know that he's dead. That stuff's never coming out of his head without him dying. There's no way to get it because Carlisle's dead. And no one knows the code to get it out without, if you don't get it out with the correct code, it's fatal. It has a fatal security system attached to it. So you can get it out, but how you going to tell anyone about it? You'll be dead. So Kruger attacks, and everyone's killed. Julio, which is like one of the most harrowing scenes in the movie to me, because of what I said earlier. Julio actually sacrifices his life to save Max, which was sweet. I mean, come on, that was sweet. And Max was very upset because part of the deal that Max had made was that it wasn't just him, it was him and Julio. They were both going to be given residential status on Elysium for this. That's what Spider was going to give them. So they were obviously very close. Julio sacrificed himself for Max, and Max included him as part of the deal. It was him and Max were going to go to Elysium, and Julio ends up sacrificing himself. And I think there could have been an underlying story there that would have made me happy. Assholes. But in any event, Max does get away, and an old lady hides him under her cart because Kruger's looking for him. So he does manage to get away, and he ends up going to the hospital because not only has he been beat half to death and stabbed by Kruger, and the tech fights are amazing in this movie, the special effects, but he's also been stabbed now, and he's dying of the radiation. So he goes to the hospital to see Frey, who tries to help him, but he can't go in.
Right?
So she takes him back to her house where she does as much as she can for him. She fixes him up. And he tells her what's going on. And he meets her daughter. Now, her daughter is dying in the final stages of leukemia. So, we had learned that a little bit back. So that's kind of her backstory. And while he's there, he gets treated up. He's well. He has got to get to Elysium. He's got to get back to Spider to give him the information so that he can be given a ride to Elysium. So he's still on that plan. We know it can't work that way, but that's still what he believes. So he leaves, but Kruger shows up, attacks and kidnaps Frey and the daughter. And Max finds this out and doesn't really know what to do about it. He goes to see Spider. Spider informs him about the program, informs him that LA has been locked down, that he can't send him to Elysium because there's no way to get any signal through. So there's nothing that they can do. He can't help him now.
He can't get the information out of his head, and he can't do anything with him to help him because of what's going on. So, Matt, or Max now, Max is told about this program because Spider now knows what it is and tells him, this is a damn reboot program, for Elysium. No wonder they're after you. However, if we could get up there with it, whoever's got this information, basically, can take over Elysium. Now, Spider actually had good intentions. He wanted to... He's a bad guy, but he's a good guy. Because, yes, he wants to... Now that he knows what the program is, he does want to get to Elysium, and he does want to do it himself. But he wants to do it so that he can make all of Earth citizens Elysium citizens, and that would kick in saving the people. So that's his actual plan. He's not tricking, he's not out for himself, he's not, he just wants to get Elysium rebooted to save the planet's population. And Max, he wants to get up there to save his own ass, and now to save Freya and her daughter. So he ends up going to Kruger, to one of Kruger's drones that he had knocked down earlier. So he went and picked up the drone and was telling Kruger to come get me where he is. So he shows up with a grenade, pops the pin. He pops the pin and talks to him and says, you take me up there and you can have this program. Just get me up there for me and Frey's daughter. So of course Kruger agrees because, yeah, of course, why wouldn't you? You can figure out how to stop it later, right? So we have them getting to Elysium. And when they get up there, there's a big knockdown, huge fight. They're on the loose. One of the grossest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Kruger gets his face blown off, and they show it by the grenade that he dropped. So he gets his face blown off by the grenade, and I've run my mouth, so let me see, catch up to the notes. I think I went through 2 pages of notes without looking at it. Yeah. So, now that they are up there, they do manage to get Max. They put him in the detention infirmary. They've got Frey and the daughter. She's also in the detention. She wasn't allowed to get... She did manage to get to a med bay, but what could you do with it? Because she doesn't have the code on her arm. So, but his whole plan was that was okay because he was going to reboot Elysium, right? So, I guess he didn't fill her in on that part of the plan because she put her daughter in the med bay and it rejected her. But he was like, no, I meant for you to wait. You gotta wait. It'll work once I get things done. So, but he ends up in custody instead. They're going to remove the stuff from his head. And Delacourt comes in. They tell her about it. And they're like, yeah, we see it. We can get it out, but it'll kill him. And she's like, that's fine. Whatever. So, at the same time, because of all of this that's going on, Spider and his little team, they've arrived on Elysium as well. They managed to sneak in because everybody was busy looking somewhere else. So Spider is there, and Kruger then, Kruger, his men took him, and they have him. He was reconstructed. So they did a facial reconstruction because his brain was still alright. It just blew his face off from the side. So
They reconstructed his face. He comes back out. Now Delacourt comes in and is like, "Are you stupid? This was supposed to be quiet. This was not supposed to be like a public coup in front of everyone." So she's bitching at him, and he ain't having it. So he turns around and just jabs a big piece of mirror through her throat, and throws her in the room with Frey and the daughter, who really can't help. They can't. She tries to help her, but she can't. So Delacourt gets her just desserts, and she's dead. Max had seen Spider on the video screen, so he knew that Spider was there. They end up having these huge fights where he breaks free from the detention. He manages to kill both of Kruger's lackeys, and he starts then getting in contact with Spider. They agree to meet at a certain place, and we then end up with Max running into Kruger, and Spider's with Max, but they end up running into Kruger, and Kruger has went and gotten an exoskeleton put on him as well. So we end up in a boss fight, the big boss fight between Max and Kruger, and that's a really cool fight to watch. It's a really good scene, and he ends up, well, he throws, he's gonna throw Kruger off, but Kruger has a grenade and pulls the pin and is like, well, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna take you with me and that information. But he had like attached himself to Max, so he couldn't do that. So Max ends up throwing him over his head, throwing him over the thing, and ends up cutting the chain, and he goes down and blows up. So he wins the fight against Kruger, and him and Spider run into CNC, where he then plugs him in, and when it gets to the end of the data transfer, Spider tells him, and he said that actually he had figured that out already, that this was a terminal program. So he calls Frey one more time and talks to her, tells her to just stand there with her daughter in the med bay, and that it would work in a moment. And then this is some mushy stuff about them being kids and how they did finally eventually get to Elysium. And then he told Spider to do it, but Spider wouldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He's like, I just can't do this. So he ends up handing the control tablet to Max and was like, you just have to mash this button over here and it will do it. So that's what I was saying, is Spider seems like an asshole, but he's really not. He was really a good guy. He couldn't even do that to Max. And I think that was the best anyway, because even though it was for the best for everyone, and you've got Max sacrificing his life for the entire planet, literally, Spider still couldn't do it himself. He still said, this is your decision, you do it. And so after he speaks with Frey, he does it. Elysium reboots, and when it comes back up, they had put in the code that changed Earth citizens to illegal to legal. And once you did that, that was it. There was nothing that they could do. So Elysium rebooted, because you have to remember, 'cause some people would say, well, if they made that code that bypassed all the security, this was a very, very brainiac who did this. This code was a one-time deal. He created this program to do that. I guess someone could try later on, but once you lose control of a place like that, are you going to be in the power? You just lost all the power that would allow you to do that. So, regardless of whether someone in the future manages to reboot Elysium again and hard code it again to make Earth citizens illegal, that's not the way it is right now. Because when it reboots, Earth citizens are now made legal citizens, which means that all of Elysium, all the medical shuttles started dispatching, looking to help and heal all of the sick people on Earth. So, Spider's dream came true. It worked, and Max saved everyone, and there you go. That's the end of it. He's the hero who saved the entire planet. Now, of course, this movie is full of the most wonderful, fantastic special effects. The exosuit and the implants and Matt were great. This release is pretty good. It's got a lot of cool special features and Blu-ray exclusives, that really told you a lot about the process of making this movie. I think this movie is definitely epic. The cinematography is very, very Blomkamp. Very. It looks like Chappie. It looks like District 9. You can tell it's one of his movies, without a doubt. I think the cast was great, especially Kruger. I hated him so bad. He was so disgusting. Evil. I loved Max. Jodie was great as, the queen bitch of Elysium. Everything about this movie was great, and I loved it. I really did. It's definitely an 8 out of 10 to me. That's what I gave it on International Movie Database. And so that's Elysium. Join me for the next one, where we continue Man Plus Machine Week with the Arrow unrated release of the original RoboCop. Yeah. That was so good, too. I forgot how good that movie was. That was a badass movie. I really liked it. And, but I'll talk about that. Because that's what we're doing next, is the special edition, remastered, unrated RoboCop. So I will see you in that one. And love you, miss you, bye. Always remember you're a very special person. No, don't let anyone ever tell you any different. Even without an exoskeleton, you're a very special and unique individual. And support indie film making, especially indie horror. Support indie horror. Go to eBay, buy those little $5.99 discs, buy the Blu-rays, buy the, support indie horror. Support physical media as well. Fuck streaming, okay? There you go. I said it. I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. When the grid goes down, you motherfuckers are not going to borrow my shit. That's all I got to say. When you can't access your Vudu, when you can't, and I'm not slamming Vudu. I've got like 200 movies on Vudu. I've only bought 18 though. All the rest are from digital codes, okay? So yeah, if something's like really too expensive, like, okay, I cannot pay $25 for that stupid DVD, I will pay $4.99 for it on Vudu. But I've only 18 of the 200 movies that I have on Vudu were purchased, and none of them more than $4.99. Okay, got to be on sale, $4.99. I bought 18. I'll do a video about that. What movies I bought. But fuck streaming. Okay, you can stick Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and Apple TV and Amazon TV and all that crap right up your kazoo. I don't care. I can download it for free. Okay? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take part in your destruction of the physical media. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to play their games where you dipshits want to have 20 different streaming services. Okay, good. Glad you don't need to eat. Okay? But you go for it, baby, if that's what you get. I even canceled Netflix. They kept raising that shit, and I'm like, man, I don't even come and watch y'all, but once every couple of months I'll come and watch a movie. It just wasn't worth it, man. You know, and you bump it up, and I'm like, no, that's it, that's fine. I can go download whatever I want, you know, torrents, email, whatever. I'll go find it. If I really want it, I'll find it, you know. And most places, like I said, they release stuff physically, and I'll buy it. But no, I'm not going to play that game. I don't think bad of people who have one or two streaming services, I guess. But like I said, lose the internet. Lose the internet. Can't afford internet no more? To all your digital movies that you bought. Okay? Grid goes down. E-Impulse. World War III. Whatever. All I need's a generator. Okay? All I need's a generator. Shit'll play on my computer. Shit'll play on my Blu-ray player. And my DVD player. So, you ain't borrowing nothing from me. Just remember that, okay? If you don't support physical media, don't come borrowing mine when the time comes. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. I love my little rants. I love to have people out there going, that's okay. That's alright. I'll see you in RoboCop. Bye-bye.